Hello, Mexico. This is Angela Mascuela sitting in for Ana Maria Salazar. Our first guest on this edition of Imagen News is Juan Francisco Torres Landa, Secretary General of Mexico United Against Crime. Hello, Juan Francisco. How are you?
Angela, just fine. Thank you for having us in your very important program.
Thank you for being a guest. Well, so we're discussing the results of a survey that was carried out in Mexico in the Office of the District Attorney regarding the investigative agents, or the Ministerio Público, as they're known here, and how they have been complying with due process, and how they have been in general, their attention to the public, etc. Can you tell us a little bit about the survey and the goals of this survey, Juan Francisco?
Absolutely. Well, this was a program that was agreed upon with the district attorney in the federal district in Mexico City, and it was performed from July 2011 until the end of February, so basically lasted about 8 months. And the purpose of this survey was precisely to monitor what these investigative agents were doing. At the time, citizens just showed up to file complaints, denounce the existence of possible criminal facts, attended hearings, or just showed up to monitor just what was going on with cases they had disclosed. So we were doing basically a bifurcated effort of reviewing how due process was being complied with in all of these actions, and also to monitor just how courteous, how friendly these agents were being to citizens showing up, because we were concerned at the time, and can confirm that that is not an unfounded concern, that citizens find that going to these agencias del Ministerio Público is not necessarily, what we say, a día de campo, a visit to Disneyland. It's rather appalling, and it's in many respects is not a very satisfying experience. But it is also to be said that once you have citizens who know their rights, who are distributed, we distributed like small documents that listed what are the basic citizens' rights whenever you go to these agencias del Ministerio Público, and also what is the due process that needs to follow once you file a complaint. Citizens become much more legally oriented about what their rights are, and therefore are better prepared to deal with actions that could lead to corruption, or that could lead to deviations or some other irregular activity.
Okay, so Juan Francisco, in other words, it wasn't just a survey; it was a sort of also like a campaign to help citizens be more aware of their rights when filing claims with the district attorney's office.
That's correct, because we wanted to have the survey, and we did over 9,000 of those, individual surveys. But we also wanted this to be proactive in the sense of not only listening to the concerns, but also informing citizens of what their rights were, and therefore make this a productive effort where the citizens could improve what the agentes del Ministerio Público were doing, simply because they knew what the law says about what their rights are, and how these filings should be made, and what rights they have upon filing these denuncias or these complaints about possible facts leading to prosecution, etc. So it was more than simply listening. We also supplied citizens with what we believe are helpful tools to make this a better, legally sound process in this agencia del Ministerio Público.
And, I mean, in general, of course, I don't want a detailed response, but in general, was this an encouraging, the results of the survey, were they encouraging? I mean, I know you said it's not a visit to Disneyland, but are things okay, or are they very bad at these agencies of the offices of the district attorney?
Well, I have to be honest. I mean, overall, I would say that the actual grades that these agencias del Ministerio Público got vary significantly. There are some that are fairly good. There are others that are not good at all. And that's just a reflection of perhaps, how these agencias are monitored, how the specific agentes del Ministerio Público, these investigative agents are trained, what visibility exists about what they're doing. One thing that we did detect, and this was done again in these 8 months, is that because we couldn't visit all agencies in the federal district, that's simply, almost impossible. But we visited, 20 at the time, and we had this visiting officers that were moving around the various investigative agencies, and we immediately detected that once the agents know that they're being monitored, that the citizens know what their rights are, they immediately improve. It's almost like magic, once they know they're being seen.
Like a child, huh?
Yeah, it changes immediately, and that's, it's a reflection of what we believe, that the citizens ought to be empowered, and they ought to be empowered by nothing else but by the law. Just know what the law entitles you to have, and demand that the law be respected at all times. And that has an immediate effect of improvement. The time frame, for example, in which the citizens were attended and that they were addressed by the investigative agents, reduced in a few days, reduced from hours to minutes, just by the fact that they knew that they were being seen, and the fact that these persons are not necessarily bad; they just simply do not receive recognition. So agents also need to be regarded as citizens that are doing a good job for the community. And the citizens ought to recognize those that perform well. So that's it's a two-way street. Citizens ought to know their rights. The government officials need to be recognized when they do a good job. And when they're not doing well, there are also legal rights that you have at your availability to complain about their performance, to perhaps even sanction them.
And in general, would you say that investigative agents, these agentes del Ministerio Público, are they well paid? Do they get reasonably decent salaries, or are we talking again about these overworked and badly paid agents?
That's always a concern, although I should say that conditions in Mexico City compared to other parts in the country are far better. I'm sure that the investigative agents in Mexico City would say that I'm nuts and that they are underpaid. But the reality is that the conditions here are better than in other parts of the country. Now, it is true, and that's always been one of our concerns, that these guys, for example, have shifts that are 24 hours and then 24 hours off and then 24 hours again. I don't know how that works. I mean, it doesn't sound very human or very logical to me. I don't think anyone can work well if you worked on 24 hours straight. Yes. But for some reason, that's the way this has been organized, and it's been like that for years. I think that may need to change, where you have perhaps interlocking shifts, where you have people in some way, not having to spend so many hours a week. I think by the 20th hour, they should be dead. Yes. and not being able to perform at all.
Well, maybe that will be something that they'll look into once you reveal the results of your survey. Well, thank you very much, Juan Francisco Torres Landa, Secretary General of México Unidos contra la Delincuencia. Thank you for your participation in Imagen News.
Our pleasure.